Okay, for this lesson, what we're going to do is to actually import a pre-drawn set of animation, in this case a walk cycle, and introduce it into ToonBoon. So as you can see, I've got a drawing of a character of this scale, which is going to be which is a walk cycle, and that was drawn on paper. As you can see, you can actually pick up the lines for the paper and everything. I worked it on paper and then sort of tested on under the normal camera, and now that's going to be imported into ToonBoon and vectorized and ready for us to use. Now that's going to cause a lot of problems because none of these lines are weighted correctly, but there is a sort of a nice element to these that kind of works really well for us. So there are two different ways of bringing it, and you can actually bring these images one at a time into ToonBoon and look at them individually and then redraw them. Or you can actually, if you're happy with the drawing of them, what you could do is to simply bring them in and allow ToonBoon to vectorize them. And that's the area that we're going to be exploring right now. So I know where that this is kept, so all I need to do is literally actually the processes in ToonBoon Animate Pro is slightly different to the options available to you in Studio 5. This is a much nicer approach to it, but we've got a lot more options in Animate Pro than we have in ToonBoon Studio 5. But we'll be exploring what happens here, and I'll tell you the differences between the two and how to go about looking at the two in different ways. So first and foremost, I'm just going to introduce another layer of drawing. Not that you really need it for this, because what you could do with Animate Pro is that while you're importing it, tell it to put it into a new layer. But you do need to create a drawing layer in Studio 5, the sort of the lighter version of ToonBoon, the one that most people are using. So this would be the approach to take, and from that point onward, you just go to the first frame, right click, and from the options, when you go to drawing, and there's an option there for you to actually import and vectorize, and that's the option that you want. The next version, this bit here, is purely for ToonBoon Animate Pro, so it's not going to work for Studio 5. So the best way to go about it is I'll show you how to go about it, which is a normal and the best. I mean, this is a normal process for most other software. You just go to File and Import. You've got lots of different options here, from scanner, from images, and various different, even from movies. You can actually import movies and it'll kind of break it down into frames, etc., etc. In this case, I've already drawn them and then scanned them in, so I know it's going to be images. So I'm going to click on images, and it'll ask me where it's kept. It would do the same thing if you right click and go to vectorize on Studio 5. So these would be the same processes. So you just need to locate the folder that they're kept. It's gone straight to the folder that I've got now. In this case, I need to select the first frame and the last frame. If I don't, what will happen? I mean, I've shift selected them, so that's one way to go about it. Or what I could do is select one and then hold Command A to select everything. Or if you're using PC and you've got this software running at home, it would be Control A to select all the images in that folder, and then hit open. You notice that it says up here many files selected, which is fine. In this version, I can select create layer. In the version that you're using, the lighter version you're using at university, as you actually right click on the layer and one of the frames and said import it, you only have the option of importing it into that layer itself, so you can't create a new layer. At some point, I need to give this a change of name. If I was going to create my own layer, I could simply give it a name, give it a unique name, in which case it would be the girls walk cycle. You see, so walk cycle. But as I'm not using this. What I'll do is I'm going to click on Add to Existing Layer, in which case it's a drawing layer. You notice that it gives me an option with the two layers. It is a drawing layer. You won't have any of these options when dealing with the lighter version. So it will be just right click, bring it in and vectorize it, and it will place everything here. Now this will take a few minutes, so I'm just going to hit OK and hit the pause button until everything is processed. Okay, the moment that's brought in, you can actually see this now across your timeline. So once that's imported, there you have it. You can actually see all the other stuff. Let me just turn off. In fact, I'm going to go to drawing now, where we can actually see this, and I'm going to turn off my the onion skinning, so we can actually see what we've got. And there you have it. We've got the one walk cycle working for us. Fine here. I'm just going to play hit. It's taking a little bit of time to actually update everything. I'm going through all that information. Okay, and it's done quite a good job in terms of attempting to vectorize and bring everything in. So just yeah. So go back to camera. I'm going to switch that off. And I'm going to play button. And what you can see this being played out, and it kind of works fine in terms of animation, but it might be running a little bit too fast. So what I'll do is we'll kind of need to set the exposure to 2 frames per. Um, we need to do that right across every single one of them. I'm going to continue to do that until I get everything right, and I'll come back and we'll have a look. Okay, just doing the final one now, and exposure. I've had to increase the timeline a little bit for everything to fit. So let's go and have a look at it and see how this is going to play, which is much, much better. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now I've got one cycle. Um, it's likely that if I wanted to increase this in terms of a cycle, I need to go on to increase my timeline and then simply select everything in the timeline. And the option for creating a cycle is in the same way on the earlier version, or the Studio 5 version, ToonBoon Studio 5 version. So you just hit click cycle and number of cycles that you want. If you want 2 cycles, you just hit 2 and that will extend it. But if I just OK this, it will increase the length of time that we've got here, and we can simply then to make that time a little bit easier to see. What I want to do now is kind of not dealing with, not necessarily with animation. So what we want to do is just create the exposure there a bit more. Let's just take it again. So that we can actually see this. Alright, so if I hit play now, we should be looking at 2 different data. We're hitting 2 cycles. And it's nice and simple and easy to work with. So it actually helps in terms of cutting back the time. Ideally, what you want to do is to make sure that you've actually named each drawing properly. These are the scans, university's own scanning protocol that gives it its own code and name. So what you want to do is to be able to go back before you import it and name everything off so it doesn't kind of know what that is. You can even name individual frames. Like I suppose this would be the passing pause there, so you could call it Gale War passing pause frame, whatever. So you can really name these so you know what you're dealing with, and so on. So that's the first stage. The next tutorial is going to be how to create a peg so we can actually get the Gale to walk forward along the line. And yeah, that will be next.